Hi, Algebra 2 class. You didn't think you'd get rid of me that easy, did you? I wanted to go over the rest of Lesson 1. The first part of it, I think you can figure out on your own, the names of polygons. Those are on the Quizlet set. What we're going to do today is a little bit about angles. So, let's see, we talked about polygons a little bit. They're named with the prefix that tells how many sides they have. Remember that triangles are special, and we have a lot of problems that deal with triangles. And my pen is not working. Why isn't it working? There it is. Ha! Okay, so triangles. They're different names of triangles, and those are also in your Quizlet. But what I really want you to remember is that that triangles have, I'm trying to think while I write, they have all their internal angles equal to 180 degrees. They all add. 30 plus 70 plus 80 is 180 degrees. All right, so let's talk about transversals. When we have parallel lines cut by a transverse, we have special relationships where we can solve problems. Remember that whenever you have a straight line, any angles that make up that straight line equal 180 degrees. So if I have this straight line and it's made of a 30-degree angle and another angle, 30 plus x has to equal 180 degrees. So x would be 150 degrees, right? Well, we can use that to solve problems. Like, I know this is 50 degrees. I can find this other angle. We also know that alternating interior angles are congruent or equal. What do we mean by that? Here are the parallel lines. Internal or interior angles are inside these lines. This is outside the parallel line. Those are exterior. 50 is interior. This is outside the two parallel lines. That's exterior. This is in between the two parallel lines, so that's interior. Alternating means that one's on one side of the cut or the transverse, like this 50, and the other one is here on the other side of the cut or the transverse. So this is 50 and this is 50 because they alternate and they're interior. Alternating exterior angles are congruent. So this angle is exterior and it's on the opposite side as this angle. And it goes through my picture. But those have the same measurement. We also know that vertical angles are congruent. What's a vertical angle? Whenever two lines cross, opposite angles are vertical. The ones that go across this little intersection. So this one is vertical to this one. Does that make sense? That's a vertical angle. Those are two vertical angles, so vertical to each other. So here's 50 degrees. Here's the intersection. And so this angle here is also 50 degrees because they're directly across the intersection from each other. Now we have a lot of relationships. If this is 50 and it's exterior, its alternating exterior angle is here, and that's also 50. And here's the other vertical angle that's 50. And if 50 and something make 180, then this one must be 130. You can look at this straight line where 50 and 130 make 180, or you can look at this straight line where 50 and 130 make 180. Now that 130 is exterior and its alternating exterior angle is here. Its vertical angle is here, inside my picture at the top here. And its alternating interior angle is here. This is 130. and it's straight across or vertical from this 130. So now we've identified all of the angles just because of the pattern. When we have parallel lines cut by transverses, we can also figure out the measure of the segments or the pieces of those transverse lines, those cut through lines. Here we're told that from here to here is 2. That's the measurement, how long that segment is. And from here to here is 5. That's how long that segment is. From here to here is 8/3. That's how long the segment is. And here, we don't know this last segment, but we can find it. There's a pattern. If you think of when you say the pattern and you say the words is to, that's going to mean equals. And let me show you what I'm talking about. The proportions are the top is to the bottom as the top is to the bottom. Sorry, this should say as. As can mean equal. Top is to bottom as top is to bottom. We can set up an equation that looks just like this diagram. 2 is over top of the 5. We can write a 2 on top of a 5. And we have 2/5. So top is to bottom. As is equal. Top is to bottom. 8/3 is to x. Top is to bottom. Saying top is to bottom equals top is to bottom gives us an equation. Now remember, I skipped this part, but when you have two fractions that are equal, all you have to do is cross multiply to solve. For this one, I can change this fractional equation and multiply across the equal sign. 4 times x equals 7 times 6. And when I do that, I can solve the equation without worrying about fractions. It makes it solvable. 7 times 6 is 42. I would divide by 4, and then I would know what x is. Come over here to the left. Let's use that same idea to solve this. We're going to cross multiply across the equals. 2 times x equals 5 times 8/3. That looks a whole lot easier to solve. So I would have 2x equals 40/3, and I would multiply by the reciprocal. Ugh, this is crazy. What did I do? Okay, multiply by the reciprocal times 1/2, and x would equal, oh look, I can reduce 2 goes into 2 one time, and 2 goes into 40 20 times, and my answer is 20/3. Let's do another one where we have more space to work it out. Here we have 2, 3, x, and 9/2. So we're going to set up our equation so that it looks just like the diagram. Top is to bottom as top is to bottom. You see how I do that? 2 is to 3 as x is to 9/2. I'm going to cross multiply. So I have 2 times 9/2 equals, and I can cross multiply 3 times x. When you cross multiply, you can write either number first. I could have written 9/2 times 2. It's the same as 2 times 9/2. Now I'm multiplying 2 times a fraction. If I put that over 1, I can see that I can reduce my 2's before I multiply. 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 2 one time. And so now I just have the number 9 on the left and 3x on the right. And I divide by 3 and divide by 3. Ugh. And now x equals 3. That's supposed to be a 3 under there. All right, so toppest to bottom is toppest to bottom. Those are proportions. Your book shows you how to work this. Instead of setting up an equation of fractions, your book shows you how to find a scale factor and use a scale factor. If you're familiar with that, you can read the book and refresh your memory and do it that way. Either way works for me. I will see y'all on Tuesday. Your homework will be in the email to complete lesson 1.